problem with diesels in the winter, especially a 7.3, is it doesn't heat up. It's so cold. You turn it to heat and it just blows cold air all over your face. Especially when you only have to drive like 7 minutes to work. Shop vlog number 3. So, today, I'm going to be working on the 68 Thunderbird. I didn't order parts yesterday early enough, so I have to do those later when they show up. But one thing I am going to do is, since it's been sitting for so long, well, I actually don't know how long it's been sitting, but I got it from a tow yard. What I'm going to do is, since the engine has been sitting for so long, I have no idea if there's really any good oil in it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the spark plugs out. I'm going to squirt some Marvel mystery oil in it. This stuff is really good for just lubing whatever. I would have used WD-40 instead. That most of the time is better. Only a small bottle of it, and I don't think it'd be enough, so I'm just gonna use the Marvel mystery oil instead, and it should work just fine. I did crank it over before, once before, and it did crank over just fine, but I want to make sure that the cylinder walls are lubed up, so in case a ring tries to get stuck or something, if there's rust inside the cylinder walls, I have no idea. So that's what we're going to start with today. There she is. If any of you guys were wondering, I don't know if I explained it. The engine that is in this is there we go. The engine that is in it is a Thunderjet 429. I've had questions before of if it's an FE block. It's not. It's the same block as a 460. So it's the Windsor big block, I guess. When I take out spark plugs, I like to use just a short wrench, short handled wrench, because when I'm putting them in before, I've had issues with if you have a wrench that's too long, then I've over torqued them before and I've shattered the porcelain. And after you shatter the porcelain, you start getting misfires and stuff. So I just like using a short wrench. When I bought this car, I wasn't even able to look under the hood. And I finally was able to. I got looking, and all of the spark plug wires were pulled off. All of them have tape folded around part of them, and they have which cylinder they're supposed to be on labeled, which is nice. So pulling the spark plugs out, I figured out why. So the reason, there we go. The reason that all the spark plugs were pulled off is because these spark plugs look brand new, which is awesome. It means I don't have to get those too, which is one of the things that I wanted to replace. But I guess I don't have to now, which is cool. All right, so have all of the spark plugs out, just sitting on the side. Now we'll get the mystery oil. What we're gonna do is I have the Marvel mystery oil in this can here, and this sprays out. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this hose on the end of the can, and I'm gonna stick the other end of the hose down in the spark plug hole, and I'm gonna give it a few squirts, enough that can go travel down the hose and into the holes, so it hopefully coats the cylinder, frees up rings if they're stuck. And so now that that's done, you can see hopefully you can see that I put all the spark plugs back in. I'm gonna take the can inside with me, and I'm gonna close the hood, so in case it snows today or anything else, I want to reduce the amount of moisture that's possible to get in the cylinder and rust the walls. I don't remember if I mentioned before, but the valve covers were off when I bought the Thunderbird, so I got new valve cover gaskets because these ones are really bad. They're basically just falling off. So one thing that I have to do is replace those. So I bought the cork gaskets to put on this because there's rubber ones, but they don't, as far as I know, they don't have these little tabs. And what those little tabs do is these valve covers have little holes, and what you do is you slide the narrow end of that cork tab right into that hole, and it holds it into place. And it's a lot nicer than having to glue the rubber one to the surface of the valve cover to hold it into place when you put it on. So I got the cork ones, and that's what they had originally. So that's what I'm just gonna use to put back on. These valve covers are really easy. There's not a whole lot over top of them, just this hose here, so you can sneak them in really easy and just place them up against the head. So the last thing I want to do is replace the spark plug wires, because they're really hard to bend, and that's not great. So what I'm gonna do is, I got these new ones here. Let's swap them out one by one. You want to do them one by one, even though these are all taken off. You want to do them one by one, because you take it off and then you compare the length of that one to the length of the new one, and you get the same length of new one and put it in the same spot. Got a handful of bad wires, and I got an engine with valve covers on and a nice fresh set of plug wires. So with the plug wires on and the valve covers cinched down, the next thing for the Thunderbird would be to pull the carb off and go through it, clean it, and make sure that it's good enough to operate, and then fill the floats with fuel and see if it'll start. I already know that it cranks over, so getting it to start shouldn't be too bad as long as the coil works, and with all the spark plugs on, it shouldn't just crank over like it did before. That's all I have for this video. Like, subscribe, comment, and stay tuned to see the Thunderbird start.